Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Normally, this would go over on my locals as a news segment, but I think this is something that not only Americans need to understand, but everyone around the world, honestly. Now, you may say, well, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they don't have anything to do with me, who lives in a tiny village in, I don't know, northern Philippines. But in many ways, I think it does. I think it does because, now, granted, in Thailand, you have a king and things are a little different overseas. But in much of the Western world, we're seeing where the left, and I'm going to try to keep this as free as politics as I possibly can, because it's really not about the politics, but it's kind of about the fact that they're coming for you. They're coming for you if you're a dissenter. You look at someone like Jordan Peterson up in Canada, and he's being sent for social media training, or they're going to, because he said mean tweets, or they're going to remove his psychology license, and he has to pay, I don't know, $20,000 for the training, which is obviously just a penalty for wrong speak. You got the fact that they're throwing a bunch of charges against Donald Trump when there are previous people in our government that have done the same, that have done worse. But the only difference is they were on the left side of the aisle. They're getting ready to sue Elon Musk because he's not hiring illegal immigrants and refugees. He's hiring Americans. The Department of Justice is coming for parents that are speaking out against critical race theory and wanting all these LGHD TV teachings in school. They're going after the parents for that now. Brazil just came out with a law that if you speak ill of the LGHD TV community, you can get up to 5 years in jail. Not to mention everything that's going on in the UK with their police forces showing up on the door and raiding homes to take you out because you had a mean tweet. But in the meantime, criminals are getting away with everything. And it's happening all relatively quickly. I mean, I've only been doing this 3 or 4 years, I think. And just in the last 3 years, I guess, really, since Trump got out of office, and everything kind of follows in America's trend or to the West's trend. And things are not looking great. And if you speak out against this stuff, they're coming for you. I have a couple of articles I'm just going to briefly touch, and which makes me wonder at some point if the social media, other than Twitter, but if YouTube ends up going down this track, how many content creators are you going to see that leave YouTube, Facebook, all the other places that many of us get a lot of our information? And it's worrying because a lot of this is targeted specifically against men. It just is. Men are trending much more conservative. Men are trending much more towards protecting the family, not putting up with the nonsense, not going along with the craziness. Many of you, when I did my last video, I think, was it yesterday? I think it was the day before yesterday. And a lot of you said, oh man, you missed the ball. Like that, the chick was lying about the dinner. She lied about all of it, and you missed that, and you seemed very distracted. I am distracted. I'm distracted by trying to build a home, and I'm physically and emotionally tired. But I don't want to take time off either, because this is stuff I think is really important, and I keep reading about it, and I certainly think a lot of you, don't necessarily pay attention to it because you're not into politics or whatever, and you say, oh, wow, I didn't know that, or that's the first I've heard of this, so I do want to report on some of this stuff. But like I said, instead of doing it as a news stream over on locals, I do want everybody to know what's going on, because I'm telling you, man, if we keep up at this pace, socialism is right around the corner, and losing the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, 10th Amendment, like everything is genuinely at risk. I read down, this is the indictment about Trump. I read down through this, and a lot of these charges, they're trying to tie in. So in other words, like, you do something bad, and then you tell someone that you did this, and I'm not saying that what he did is bad. I'm just saying how the charges against Trump are written. You do something they deem is illegal, and then you tell somebody about it, and then you hire a lawyer to help you with this, and you do something else kind of related to it that is legal, and now they're saying, well, we're going to go after you for your speech, and we're going to go after your lawyers for representing you. I'm telling you, man, that is really, really bad. Can you imagine hiring a divorce attorney, and if you lose the case, the divorce attorney could get sued as well? That's kind of the same thing that they're doing here. And this is to the highest office and the highest person in the United States. So they're not going to give a second thought doing something to you. We're nobodies. We're not even a bump in the road. And I want you guys, as much as you may hate what's going on in the world today, I want you guys to pay attention to it, because it does matter. Because if this trickles down from the highest office in the land to your governors or your state, if the federal government comes after the leaders of your state, same thing can happen in the UK or in Germany or in Sweden or Switzerland. Look how everything's just falling to crap. You've got, I didn't pull up this story, but you've got media blackouts on things that are going on in Hawaii. You've got FEMA telling people that they can't donate food and money and resources directly to the people. It has to go through FEMA. But then FEMA's not releasing anything. So basically, it seems like they're purposely making people in Maui suffer. Why? They didn't release the water to put out the fires in time because of diversity quotas. You can't make some of this stuff up. And overall, it's going to be such a quality of life change. I don't think a lot of people are prepared for it. I know I'm certainly not. You look at BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The BRICS nations are moving towards using the yuan, the Chinese currency, instead of the petrodollar. Do you know what that does to the U.S. dollar? Do you know what that does to anybody that's using the American money as a standard of dollar strength? That kind of stuff is what collapsed Venezuela, when the hyperinflation and the dollar losing its value. And we don't create much here in the United States. We're mostly consumers, and we're service provided. In other words, yes, we make Tesla cars, for example, but the mining, the steel production that used to be in Pittsburgh and the steel towns, and the car production in Ohio and Detroit, and all that's gone. All we do now is produce weirdos, and we just produce weirdos and hamburgers. And I see this kind of stuff, and I got to tell you, man, it worries me. It worries not just me personally, it worries me for society. Elon Musk, they're now coming after Elon Musk, the Department of Justice, for allegedly not hiring refugees and asylees. But here's the problem with that. These are people without green cards. These are people that are not here legally. And now, why are they really going after Elon Musk in this? Because you could go after Walmart and Target and probably Tyson Chicken Farms and all these other places for either hiring or not hiring. Well, they're going after him because he's said he's not going to curtail speech and free speech on social media. That he picked up, he bought Twitter, and he says, we're going to let people speak, whether it's misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it. If it's legal speech, they're allowed to say it. And now they're going after him. They routinely discouraged asylees and refugees from applying because of their citizen status. So they're going after him because he wouldn't hire non-citizens. How does that make sense? Oh, you're here in the country, you broke the law and came in the country illegally. We're not going to hire you because we can't. You're here illegally. You don't have a social security number. You don't have a green card number. As a matter of fact, Walmart does this regularly, hires these people and puts them on farms. And when I say these people, I just mean people here illegally. And they hire them and put them on farms and have them working for very minimal money. And then when Walmart gets caught for it, they're sued or they're fined by the government $10 million, and they just pay the fine because they're like, well, we're saving a lot more money by hiring these people, paying them under the table. And so how can you fine somebody for hiring illegal immigrants and then sue somebody like Elon Musk for not hiring them? They use it as a cudgel. They're using it. I forget what Elon Musk said, but he's like, look, we were looking at hiring, they say SpaceX did not immediately reply, but Elon tweeted out, and he's like, we were told we can't hire them. They're not here legally. But why is the DOJ attacking? Because political dissent. You're not doing what the federal government. Now, by the way, this is fascism. You want to talk about fascism? Fascism is using private organizations and using companies to do the will of the federal government when the federal government doesn't have the rights by law to do it. But that's what they're doing. So you've got Musk, you've got Trump, and here's another thing. They're going to come down to the smallest levels. This is going to affect your everyday life. A teachers union sues a Rhode Island mom over requests for the CRT curriculum. So this mom is saying, I want to know what you're teaching my kids in school. Not only did the state say no, the teachers union said, we're going to sue you just for asking. You want to know what your kids are being taught? No. We're coming after you. By the way, if you hear a little weird noise in the background, there's crickets all through the woods out here. So every once in a while, you're going to hear some weird audio things. Those are crickets. It's very crickety today. Solis of Wakefield told WJAR she submitted more than 200 requests for information after the principal of her child's elementary school told her they did not refer to students as boys and girls, preferring to use gender-inclusive pronouns. So this is over the controversy over that stuff. And then not only did they say no, they sued her to shut her up. Department of Justice School Board violence. I'm probably going to have to take that word out. Department of Justice School Board memo targets concerned parents. And they say the GOP says, no, it's not just the GOP. I've read it. And yes, it does. And this whole thing started when a father was at and this is old news, but but it's all piling up. You see, it's all coming together now. A father went to the school board to yell at the school board because he found out that his daughter, that there was a young man at the school, one of the students, who identified as a female, went into the girl's bathroom and forced himself on his daughter, doing the old in and out, like it went all the way. And the school board hid it from everybody. And not only did they hide it, they moved this boy to another school, a different school, and he did it again. And the father that was at this meeting was outraged, furious, and he started to push towards the front of the meeting, the public speaking engagement, towards the school administration that basically did this to his family, and the cops arrested him and dragged him out. And then the DOJ said, "Yep, we're going to start looking into these parents because they're angry." And again, I'm not going to read down through these stories. I'm giving you the gist of them. It's very easy to look up. Probably most of you know about these stories. The reason why I'm concerned is because, a lot of times we say, weak men bring hard times. That's a very generic, overgeneralized statement. What do these hard times really look like? They could look like no food. They could look like, no, your money doesn't buy anything. I mean, if you look at Haiti and Venezuela, they're literally eating dirt pies. You know, they're adding biological or non-bio materials to their food to try to keep their stomachs full. In lesser circumstances, it might be like it was when I was in Thailand and the Philippines. And this is no slight on Thailand or the Philippines. I love both countries. But when you go into the mall and you say, hey, you know what? I'd like a laptop. And you go in there and most of the laptops are weak. They're not going to play like video games on them. They're mostly used, $300-$400 laptop for doing light web watching, and I couldn't even edit my video or my photos, my thumbnails on those laptops. That's all they had at the mall. You know, the Nintendo Switch had been out for, 6 or 8 months, and it was very difficult to find games and other things for it. Now, maybe I wasn't in the right area. Maybe I was in a small town. But I can tell you, here in the United States, you can be in a very small town. If they have a Walmart, a Target, a Best Buy, the internet, you can get any of that stuff within days. It's a quality of life. We're very spoiled here in the West. And that may go away. I'll tell you a funny story. I like Wheaties cereal. That is my favorite cereal. My grocery store hasn't had that in months and months and months. I found a few boxes at a Target, but this was before the boycott. So because I'm boycotting Target as well. And so I picked up 6 boxes of it, and that, shelf life on that is 2 years. But I realized, like, my local grocery store didn't have stuff. There was another. I used to buy every once in a while. I grabbed sandwich meat. The amount of the sandwich, the meat in the package, and it was one that I bought often enough that I knew the price, and I knew it was like 16 ounces. I went to buy it. It's down to 10 ounces in size, and it's almost twice the price. And we're not even into the mire yet. We're just getting started on this stuff. Many times we'll say we'll sit back, joke about sitting back and watching the world burn. The problem is, I think in this time to come, there's no place to sit back. You envision yourself, and I know I do as well, and we joke about it, going up to the top of a nice slope, nice rise, putting out a picnic chair, pulling out some hot dogs and maybe a cold one, roasting some hot dogs and drinking a cold one while you watch everything burning down below. But the truth of the matter is, there's not going to be any, hill to go up on. There's not going to be any quiet place, serene, safe place to watch all this happening. You're going to be in it. And you're either going to have to shut up or you're going to have to fight. And the problem is that when you get into the thick of it, the problem is that if they only pick off a few at a time, like say you have two groups of warriors and they're getting ready to go to war. One is the government, which is, 1 million people at its peak, and the other is the populace at 330 or 350 million at its peak. I'm just pulling numbers out of the air. Well, if you're just going through a gate one at a time to try to change things, to speak up, to make your voice heard, they're just going to pick you off one at a time. Now, it'd take them forever to go through everybody, but they'll just keep picking you off. They'll just keep picking you off. And here, they're picking off Trump. They're picking off Elon Musk. They're picking off mothers that want to know what's being taught to their children. They're just picking you off. At what point do people say, that's it, I'm done? Usually it's when you go to the ballot box. But you notice that lockdowns are coming back around. You notice that news about, getting the old jabs and covering your face, all that stuff's coming about. Why? Why now? Why did it disappear for a summer or two when they just said, forget it, don't worry about it? Why is it coming back now? We got elections coming up. We got mail-ins coming up. We got all the things coming up. Amazing how that timing works, isn't it? I think this is something we need to pay attention to, and I don't know what the answer is, mind you. I mean, what happens if you go and you go and turn in your electronic, check mark on a screen and you keep losing? How many cycles does it take of losing until everything's done? Till the Department of Justice is targeting YouTubers? You might say, well, that's crazy. They're going after social media. We know that they were that they had agents in bed with YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all the other. How long until you say the wrong thing they knocking at your door? Because they're already doing that in the UK. They're doing that in Germany. They're doing that in Europe. How long until you can't say anything? You can't speak? You can't leave your driveway without a camera snapping a picture and charging you 15 pounds because your car is not the right make or it's not fuel efficient enough? How long until all your rights and your freedoms are gone? There's no sitting on a hill and watching it all burn. You're going to be on fire too. And it's going to be very painful. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sad. I'm sad for the state of the world. I'm sad that at one point in our country, we fought back against the Brits for a 3% tax. And today, they're taking away everything that we've been given as a country, and we sit here silently and complain online until your favorite YouTuber, the person you used to follow for news that tweeted on X or Twitter or whatever, until they're banned and they're gone. Slowly turning the heat up on the frogs in the pot. How long until you say, you know what, it's too late. We're done. I don't know, but I want you guys to know what's going on, because the weak men in our government, or the women in our government, mostly the women, the people voting the way they're voting, the people making the choices they're making, they're going to take things away from you until you don't have anything left. I have no doubts about that. What do? I don't know. It's not la revolution, not yet. But just understand things are going to get rough, and you're not going to be able to avoid it. So we'll see how everything turns out with that. I got a couple of other more videos I'm going to do today. I recorded one yesterday, just on my phone, sitting over at my building, at my house that I'm building, about why it's good to be alone, and what I learned about 5 years of being by myself. I'm going to do that. I might re-record it. I might see if I can edit it. I have a tendency to get a little rambly without, because I don't use scripts or anything like that, because who the hell wants to listen to me read a script? But I don't know, it might be a little rambly. I hope to have that one out for you either today or shortly, or re-record it or something or other. So we'll see that. But guys, keep your chins up, man. We're just starting those rough times. I think it's going to get real crazy real soon.